Today is all about tea, and I mean tea fragrances. It is a kind of note that I don't really notice in a fragrance. However, every time I'm starting to actually love a fragrance, I find out that it has prominent tea note in it. I think there's something grounding, calming about tea notes. That's why I'm loving fragrances that are prominent with tea. So today, I gathered around 9 perfumes in all budgets to share with you guys. This is not my first tea perfume video, as I have made a best of tea perfumes, I think 2 years ago. It's just that I have discovered a lot of new tea favorites recently, to the point that I think I need a part 2 of that best tea fragrances. So having said that, you won't be seeing here Oolong Liam Grey, and Estee Lauder Tender Light, because I've already talked about those fragrances in the part 1 of this best tea fragrances. So just think of this as a part 2 of that best tea perfume video. As mentioned, today's lineup is a mix of everything as usual, affordable and luxury, and I even have some indie perfume in today's video. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. Starting off with an affordable Middle Eastern perfume from Lattafa. This is called Dynasty. The bottle, it's giving a lot of masculine energy. However, to me, this is so unisex. This is a kind of tea scent that is perfect if you live in a humid country. This is something that will really keep you fresh because of the ginger, nutmeg, citrus combo in here. In the note breakdown, it says it has rooibos tea. However, to me, it doesn't really smell like rooibos tea, or probably the spices and the citrus in here overpowered that rooibos nuance. To me, the tea that is in here is more of like a black tea. So imagine a lemon and ginger tea with a dash of nutmeg. Very refreshing and, shall I say, kind of invigorating. It is a beautiful freshie that I think will be perfect this spring and summertime. Very unisex. Performance, I will say, is moderate. It lasts on my skin around 4 hours. However, it lasts longer on clothes. Scent-wise, I think this is a beautiful, fresh, spicy tea that I think men and women will enjoy, especially if you love the note of tea in fragrances and you also enjoy like fresh spices like ginger and nutmeg. Once again, this is Dynasty by Lattafa, and I find this fragrance to be unisex. All right, next up is one of my favorite tea scents in my collection, Pomelo Oolong by Danam. So far, I have like around 4 or 5 perfumes from Danam, and this is my favorite. Pomelo Oolong is such a pretty pick-me-up scent. Basically, to me, this smells like an oolong tea with a slice of pomelo served in a teacup. As the name suggests, Pomelo Oolong, this is mainly an oolong tea. So having said that, a little bit earthy and woody, very grounding, and with the perfect amount of citrus from the pomelo and that sweet and clean musk. This is a beautiful eat girl kind of scent. Very likable, everyday kind of tea scent. I can even imagine someone wearing Pomelo Oolong as their signature scent because there's something uplifting and soothing about it. This is a kind of oolong tea that feels cold, probably because of the porcelain note that is in here. I find Pomelo Oolong quite different from other tea fragrances because it has a cooling texture, a very beautiful and likable everyday tea scent. Now, when it comes to performance, I would say it's moderate, lasts around 4 to 6 hours, just like other Danam perfumes. They're not really loud. However, they give you like a pretty scent bubble. This is perfect for someone who's not into loud and beast mode fragrances. This kind of perfume will give you a beautiful whiff throughout the day. I highly recommend Pomelo Oolong if you are looking for an everyday, likable, pretty kind of oolong tea scent. I find the earthy, woody vibes in this fragrance is very well balanced. That's why I love it so much. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Once again, Pomelo Oolong by Danam, and I find this fragrance to be unisex, however, slightly leaning more feminine. Next up is another affordable fragrance. This is called Mouda High End by Arabiyat Prestige. I have talked about this fragrance when I reviewed all the new releases from Arabiyat Prestige. This is such a beautiful freshie. Basically, the main note of this fragrance is tea. That's why it's featured in today's video. But it also has prominent grapefruit, ginger, lemon. So having said that, it is like in the same scent profile as Dynasty, very fresh, spicy tea kind of scent. However, the difference with Mouda High End is that it has some soft white florals in it as well. Because I find Dynasty to be just like dry citrus spicy tea scent. With Mouda High End, this has added soft and delicate white florals, making it a little bit more sophisticated. I will say the first time I got this fragrance, I didn't really get white florals. It was like straight up fresh spicy tea. However, now that it has matured, because I have this fragrance for months now, the soft white florals peek through along with the tea and the fresh spices in here, and I find it gorgeous. The final dry down of this fragrance is a fresh tea scent with soft florals that just smells so good. Apparently, this is inspired by Dolce & Gabbana's Velvet Infusion. I haven't smelled that fragrance yet, so I cannot comment how similar they are. However, guys, scent-wise, this is a beautiful, everyday, soft floral tea woody scent that I will highly recommend for men and women. Honestly, I'm not really sure about the bottle though, but the juice is chef's kiss. This is such a likable citrus tea, woody, musky scent that feels so pretty. I think this will stand out as well if you live somewhere humid, because the spices in here and the tea will keep you fresh. Performance wise, I would say after owning it for a couple of months, it is better compared to how it was before, because the first time I had it, it didn't really last long, or probably because I was in Philippines that time and it was very hot and humid there. Now that I have used it here in Portugal, well, we are in springtime, it lasts longer, especially on clothes. Actually, now I realize maybe there's something to do with the weather. Yeah, here in Portugal, it lasts longer. Let's say lasts me around 5 to 7 hours now. It lasts longer on clothes than on skin. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Once again, Mouda High End by Arabiyat Prestige, and this is perfectly unisex. Next fragrance is something that I don't own yet. However, I finished the decant, and ever since it has been living rent-free in my mind, and it is called Roasted Green Tea by J-Scent. Listen up, if you're the type who collects tea scent, I think Roasted Green Tea is a must own, because I find that fragrance to be very unique from all the other tea scents that I have tried. That fragrance smells like a roasted, nutty tea scent. It is invigorating in such a unique way. Imagine a tea scent with a peanut note combined with mint. I know that sounds really weird. However, if you are also into nutty fragrances, you're gonna love roasted green tea. It's in the top 10 of my wish list. That perfume opens up really nutty to the point that you will really smell the peanuts straight away. However, guys, as it dries down, it gives you like, yeah, the smell of a roasted green tea. Yeah, that's how literal it smells like. It is very invigorating and just unique. As far as I remembered, it is one of the brand's best seller. I discovered that fragrance when I was in Exans, and I really think it's worth mentioning because it's such a unique tea scent. Hopefully this year I will get a bottle of it because it's in my top 10 perfume to buy this year. So yeah, once again, roasted green tea by Jason. If you're looking for a unique tea scent to add in your collection, it literally smells like a nutty roasted green tea garnished with mint. All right, speaking of unique, next up is Milky Dragon by Isabelle Larignon. Guys, this is a very unique oolong tea. There's a lot of molecular notes listed in Fragrantica, but let me tell you what I smell out of this fragrance. This to me smells like an oolong tea with raspberry jam. Yeah, that is the description. Very straightforward raspberry jam and oolong tea combo. I find it very edgy and unique as I haven't smelled anything like it. As this fragrance dries down, it kind of like turns plasticky. I mean plasticky not in a bad way, because I find plasticky kind of fragrances actually quite addictive, and Milky Dragon is something like that. Raspberry is not listed in the note breakdown. However, to me this smells like a raspberry jam. Yeah, and oolong tea. So if you are looking for an edgy tea to add in your collection, I highly recommend you Milky Dragon. Honestly, I don't really get milk or butter in here. Like, it doesn't have any kind of creaminess. To my nose, it actually feels dry. However, I love how unique and fruity it is, because I haven't really tried anything like it. To my nose, this is oolong tea, raspberry jam, and oak moss. The final dry down is quite mossy. So as mentioned, this is quite prominent with raspberry jam and oolong tea. However, the final dry down is very mossy. I don't detect here any buttery nuance or like any kind of creamy factor. I mentioned that because this is called Milky Dragon, but it's not giving any kind of lactonic vibes at all. Actually, it is very dry, and the most prominent note to my nose is that oolong tea. So, you know, earthy tea with a mossy base, plus that raspberry jam, like, you know, floating on top. Such a unique fragrance, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a unique, edgy tea scent to add in your collection. Once again, Milky Dragon by Isabelle Larignon. Performance wise, I would say it lasted me around 4 to 5 hours with moderate to soft projection. This is more of like a skin scent. Speaking of skin scent, I have here a sensual tea scent. This is called Oh My Chai by Versatile Paris. It's very addictive, guys. Imagine a literal homemade masala chai. So to me, this smells like boiled milk with black tea inside, plus fresh spices. And I'm talking about cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg. This is an extra de parfum in a roll-on bottle. And yeah, this is so addictive and sexy. I'm gonna describe this as a smoky, spicy chai latte. Very addictive. I mentioned to you before, the only complaint that I have is that it is only in a roll on. I think if this is like in a different bottle, like, you know, with a spray, it can get more attention because the scent is really, really gorgeous. Actually, I saw on their Instagram that they will do soon spray bottles. So I'm very excited about that, because I would love to get like a spray bottle of Oh My Chai. Plus, they also have this something called Bois something, which is more of like a woody scent that smells addictive too. Anyway, Oh My Chai smells like a literal smoky Chai Latte. Such a beautiful, addictive, and affordable scent. This is only 15 ml. However, it is an extra de parfum inside, okay? And I think this cost less than 100 euros, probably 60 euros, I think. Performance wise, I will say is soft as it is a roll on, lasted me around 2 to 4 hours, and this is more of like a skin scent. Next up is Oud Beyond The Wall. This is from Paris Corner, and this is inspired by Gris Charnel. So in the part one of my tea fragrances, I talked about Liam Gray by Latafa because I find Liam Gray and BDK Gris Charnel to be very, very similar. Well, Liam Gray is an amazing dupe of it. Now, Oud Beyond The Wall doesn't have oud in it, at least to my nose. Well, even in the note breakdown, it doesn't say that it has oud. I don't know why they named it Oud Beyond Wall. Juice wise, guys, this is a beautiful, aromatic, spicy tea, woody scent that is very, very addictive. I will say, yes, it is very similar to BDK Gris Charnel. I could tell that it is inspired by it. However, this is like a sexier and more manly version of Gris Charnel. I would love to smell it on a man as I find it effortlessly sexy and addictive. I think it has added apple note and amped up clary sage, making this fragrance more masculine leaning to my nose. For example, you love that BDK Gris Charnel Chai Latte DNA, but you want it more aromatic and more masculine leaning, then I highly recommend you checking out Oud Beyond The Wall. This is a beautiful tea fragrance for men that I will highly recommend because not only it smells good, it also lasts for a very long time on skin and on clothes. I'm not really a fan of the bottle because it's not giving the vibe of the juice inside, but scent wise, this is gorgeous. It smells more expensive than what it is. Highly recommend it if you are looking for a refined BDK Gris Charnel for men. Once again, Oud Beyond The Wall by Paris Corner. All right, next up is something that is not available worldwide. However, I'm just gonna share it with you because this is such a beautiful gem. I bought this fragrance in Philippines last February, and this is just mind-blowingly good considering the amount of money that I paid for it. So this is called Matcha a lot from the brand called Perfume Dessert. So I'm just gonna give a quick shout out just in case I have viewers from Philippines or like anyone traveling to Philippines. You need matcha outlet if you are looking for matcha jasmine latte scent. This is one of the most realistic matcha scents that I have ever tried. I was shocked how good it performed in hot and humid weather. Basically, this is a refreshing matcha tea with jasmine. Yeah, so it's like a combo of those two teas. Very refreshing. It has a perfect amount of sweetness coming from white chocolate and musk. It is beautiful, and I just adore this fragrance. I love this perfume so much that I bought 2 bottles of it because it is very, very affordable, guys. I think I paid not even 10 euros, yeah, for a 30 ml. This costs around 6 euros for a 30 ml bottle. So yeah, I really love and enjoy this matcha a lot. Highly recommend you checking it out if you're living in Philippines or if you are coming to Philippines or if you have friends coming to Philippines. This is a beautiful combo of matcha jasmine tea with an underlying white chocolate and musk combo. Performance wise is actually quite good considering for the price, guys. This lasted me around 4 to 6 hours and it even lasts longer on clothes. I would say on clothes it lasts around 8 to 10 hours. And that was in hot and humid weather. I'm blown away by how good this fragrance is. Once again, Matcha a lot by Perfume Dessert. And last but not the least is like a semi-gourmand tea scent that I find addictive yet sophisticated. This is Blue Madeline by Atelier des Ors. I love this bottle as it is just so captivatingly gorgeous. And this scent, guys, is just beautiful. Basically, to me, this smells like an ultra refined blueberry bubble tea. I don't really smell like Madeline in here. Yeah, because to me, there's something that smells like blueberry. It's not a very realistic blueberry though, but it is there. As mentioned, an ultra refined blueberry bubble tea. The kind of tea that is in here is quite milky. And also, I want to mention that I'm talking about a legit bubble tea that you buy from a legit bubble tea shop. Like in Asia, there's a lot of legit bubble tea shops. So I'm talking about those, okay, wherein you could literally taste the tea and not just sugar in the bubble tea. Yeah, that's how Blue Madeline smells like. It has a beautiful, soft blueberry nuance that I find very, very addictive. This, I will say, is in my top 5 favorite tea fragrances in my collection. This is quite gourmand. However, it is like a kind of gourmand that is very addictive, light, and airy. There's something addictive and soothing about it. When it comes to performance, I will say on me, it lasts around 3 to 5 hours with moderate to soft projection. However, I love it for that. I think that kind of performance is perfect for the refined vibe of Blue Madeline. I enjoy this tea fragrance so much. Once again, Blue Madeline by Atelier des Ors. So yeah, that's about it. Those are the 9 tea fragrances that I think are outstanding. Now, I would love to know if you have any suggestions in mind. The part 1 of this best tea perfumes will be linked in the description box below and also up in here. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, guys, and see you on my next one. Bye!